Good evening and welcome to Burlington and Beyond. I'm your moderator for the evening, Adam Sinesi. Thank you for joining us. Tonight we're going to kick off our program. We have a jam-packed program for you, so we're just going to jump right into it. We're going to kick off the program with a special guest this evening, Katie Zazzera with Mass Victory. Thanks for joining us, Katie.
Well, it's good to be here.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about Mass Victory and what Mass Victory does.
So Mass Victory is a field arm of the state Republican Party, and what we're doing is we are coordinating with all campaigns from governor down to state rep. We even helped a bunch of selectmen races throughout the spring, and we're hoping to get the word out about our candidates. We're making a lot of phone calls, we're knocking on a lot of doors, and we're hoping to do really well this November.
Well, we're excited and we wish you the best of luck. So when did the office open? When did the operation begin?
So my office, which is in Billerica, opened on April 5th. So we've been around for quite some time. The operation, I want to say, started up at the beginning of the year in January. I came on board in early March. And we did a lot of signature collection for our candidates. We got all of our candidates on the ballot, which was a very good thing. Very pleased with that. And so now we're kind of transitioning into our voter contact phase. So my office happens to have a bunch of phenomenal interns. I have a great deputy. We make a lot of volunteer recruitment calls to get people excited about the office. It's really unique this cycle because I don't think there's ever been an office so close to Burlington and really in this area before. So we're getting to talk to and get to know a bunch of people who haven't really had this attention before, and it's really exciting to.
Why did they decide to locate an office in this region this time around? Because it is something a little bit different.
So my office happens to be focused on the 6th Congressional District. We have Richard Tassay running for Congress, and this area is newer to the district. We're really hoping to increase turnout here, and I think when they looked at things that happened in 2012, they really wanted to focus on this area. And again, we haven't had a chance to really get to know the people here as well, and so now we have this fantastic opportunity to really excite the area.
I think it's terrific, and I'm really glad that you're close by. It makes it easier for us to be in touch and also to get a real feel for the candidates. How many other offices are there around? This is one for the 6th district, as you said?
Yes, so as a whole, I think we have close to 20 offices statewide now, which is huge. In the 6th Congressional District alone, we have 3. We have the Peabody office, which is also where the Richard Tassay headquarters is. Then we do have an office out in Cape Ann and Gloucester. And throughout the state, there are quite a few in Central Mass. We have one out in East Longmeadow. We have 3 or 4 on the Cape. We have some in the South Shore. And we're still opening offices, so it's expanding and it's growing. And
They coordinate those? All those offices?
Yes, we all coordinate. We have a daily call every day. We keep in touch with each other. We see how we're doing. If there are certain candidates that cross regions, we coordinate. So it's nice to kind of have all this communication instead of every man for himself kind of thing.
Yeah. How long have you been doing this?
I guess this is my second big campaign. I was an intern on the Christie campaign last year, and it was a similar format. We had New Jersey Victory down there. And I really enjoyed the experience. So when I had the opportunity to come up to Massachusetts, I was really excited and went further north.
Excited from Massachusetts. That's great. We're glad to have you. That's terrific.
So how many offices did we have 2 years ago?
2 years ago, I'm not entirely sure. I know for the more North Shore area, there was an office in, I can't remember if it was Wakefield or Saugus, but there was really only one that covered the area that 3 offices cover now. So it's, and then going back to the 2010 Charlie Baker race, I think they had 4 field regions. We now have 9. So it's.
So this is a major increase for the Republican Party in the state.
Yeah.
A major presence. I'm so glad to see that the Republican Party is getting organized. Yeah. I think we've been waiting for it for about at least 20, 30, 40 years.
Good point. Yes.
So welcome to Massachusetts. Thank you for your assistance up here.
We're very excited to have her, because we need people like her. Now, the direction that they're going in is obviously a little bit different. And in past years, it seemed like it was kind of like how they described the Red Sox, X amount of players and X amount of cabs. Everybody kind of did their own thing, but this time around it seems like the campaigns are really going out of their way to coordinate better with each other and work as a team. That's something a little bit different, something that I feel like the Democrats have done in the past, but the Republicans have really failed to follow suit on.
Yeah, I think the kind of thing that makes this experience unique is the coordination with the local campaigns, which I think is something that's new. I mean, right here in Burlington, we have Paul Gerard running for state rep, and we're really looking forward to having a phone bank for him sometime soon. And
We will be there.
yes, and organizing walkbooks for him and really being a resource for him, and him also being a resource for us in terms of helping us get to know the area better. So it really, I mean, it just kind of makes sense, and it's a very happy marriage that we are going to have.
Do the candidates come around, visit every now and then?
Yeah, actually, Richard Tassay has been in my office the past couple of weekends. He's been coming out to Billerica to do some door knocking. Charlie Baker was at my grand opening, and I know he's hoping to be in the area sometime soon. The candidates are very good about, you know, spreading out their time and making sure they don't just focus on one area, and no corner of the state is really being neglected
Be
in
sure
this.
and mention to them that Burlington and beyond is a great source, and they are welcome to come and join us here if they want. Just mention it, you know, that Burlington and beyond exists. You should
No,
find
I
out something
absolutely
about
will. I think it's fantastic that you guys have something like this, and, you know, reaching out locally is the best way to go about it, and it's, I don't know, I think it connects with people better. It makes people feel like you're really talking to them and not just kind of generally referring to an area of town. So congrats on doing this. I think this is wonderful.
Well, thanks. After 2 or 3 decades, we also decided it was time to step up a little bit more and to raise the level of discourse and conversation politically in the town, in this region.
So I think a lot of people are familiar with Charlie Baker and Richard Tassay. As you know, Charlie Baker has run before, and Richard Tassay, you know, put in a good run 2 years ago in this district. But tell us a little bit about the other candidates in the race. Has the GOP fielded a full ticket so far? As
We did. We got all 5 other candidates are on the ballot. We have Brian Herr running for U.S. Senate out of Hopkinton. We also have Mike Heffernan from Wellesley, who's running for treasurer. Patricia St. Aubin from Norfolk, who is running for auditor. And then Dave Darkangelo out of Malden. He's a city councilor in Malden. He's running for Secretary of the Commonwealth. And John Miller from Winchester, which is right down the street, is running for Attorney General.
And John Miller has been to Burlington fairly recently, as I did see him at the kickoff for Paul Gerard's campaign. So they're definitely out here pounding the pavement, and I credit Katie's office with, you know, giving some renewed emphasis on this district. And I do think that this is a district that should be pretty kind to the Republicans, as I know they were back in 2010, and a lot of the Republicans did very well in Burlington and as well in 2012.
You know what it is? Just having the office there is connecting. It's like connecting the whole web. We know that there's a leadership group, so to speak, you know, and you can almost see the lines coming out of it for all of the candidates. And I think it's a great big difference. And like Larry said, you know, we've come a long way. Thanks to you. Thanks to you.
Thank you.
Your efforts.
Just imagine the party we're going to have when all of these people are elected. Oh my God.
November
Just a
4th should be a
celebration.
very good day. That's what we're working on.
So if people wanted to contribute their time to one of these candidates, one of these fine candidates, would they contact you directly if they wanted? What would you have for them to do if they wanted to volunteer for the Republican Party?
If someone wanted to volunteer, my office is open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Saturdays, we're doing noon to 5 at this point, but that will certainly expand as the summer rolls on. Anyone is welcome to come in. We always have phone calls we can be making indoors, we can be knocking. If walking right in is a little bit of an anxiety attack for some people, I think you guys have the office phone number for my office, or feel free to email me. My email address is Katie, which is spelled Katy, at massvictory.com.
If somebody is a little bit afraid about making phone calls, would you give these people some training if they come to the office and
Oh,
ask for
absolutely.
some help and how to get started?
Absolutely. Every first-time volunteer we have, we sit with you, we make calls with you. If you do door knocking, we do not send you out alone the first time. We will always send you with someone. We have a fantastic app for smartphones that is free and easy to download on your Apple or Droid phone. But if you don't have that, no worries. We will just print a paper walkbook for you, and we have a zillion clipboards, so you don't even have to bring one.
Well, this is great. What a resource.
Yeah.
We're actually going to give people training on how to do this. So I think we're going
It's
to
easy.
step up a little bit. I think
It's
that's
really
exactly
quite
what
easy.
you
It's
do.
so
Isn't it?
easy I
so
can do
easy.
it. Put it that
Yeah,
way.
me too. It is. It's a piece of cake, no problem at all. You just have to have a little bit of ambition, especially if you're a believer. And
It's a lot of fun too.
it is. It is fun. It is fun because you. I know my own experience. I ended up calling people that I know in
Yeah.
town here, which is ideal, really.
Extremely effective.
And most of them agreed. You know, once in a while someone would maybe question, and you know, you have a chance to talk to them and tell them about your policies and your ideas and what you believe in, and it can be a very nice discussion, especially if you end up calling the neighbor next door. You know.
Yeah.
But it's good stuff, and I'm really glad, like all of us, I'm really glad that not only that you're here, but that but Mass Victory is here, and I like the word victory. I really do. I think that really says it all. Mass Victory. Who chose that, by the way?
Yeah, it's a great question. I have absolutely
No,
no idea.
Whoever came up with it had. They must have inside a group that is planning policy and whatnot.
State park.
For example, at the state level.
Yeah.
Who, I mean, someone had to come up with this Mass Victory logo, so I'm sure that they have people who is probably still working on it, you know, trying to figure out best ways to get people motivated. And that's good. That's good.
Is it possible for us to get Katie, the phone number for Katie's office on the screen?
Yeah,
If that's
they-
possible, that would be fantastic. But Katie, just out of curiosity, what sort of time commitment are you looking for from the volunteers?
I mean, it's any time you have to give. If you have an hour, then just come in for an hour. You know, obviously we would love for you to stay for a couple. We have some things called Super Saturdays about once a month, which is just a jam-packed day. It's where we do a week's work of work in one day, and it's a lot of fun. It's from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., but you certainly do not stay the whole time, although I do give you pizza if you're here around lunch, so you should do a shift right before.
I like pizza.
And you know, it's whatever time you have to give. Even an hour helps these candidates so much, getting their names out in the area, talking to people, getting them excited about these candidates. And you know, I know it seems like so far away, but we only have, I think it's 139 days to go, you know, and it's gonna go by like that. So if we don't do the groundwork now, come October, we're going to be running really crazy. So by doing this now, we're going to make our fall that much more successful and make November 4th the best day ever.
Yeah, let's not wait till Labor Day to get involved. Let's do it now. Let's do the
Yeah.
groundwork. If you can give an hour, give an hour.
Yeah.
If you can give more, even better. But if you know, many hands make for light lifting.
Saturday's pizza.
Saturday's pizza.
So June 28th is our next Super Saturday, and that's going to be, I think it's, what is it, a week from tomorrow?
Yeah,
Not
a week
tomorrow.
from-
Oh
week
my
from
goodness,
Saturday.
a week from this Saturday. So
Yeah.
that's our next big Super Saturday, and again, you're always welcome to walk in the door. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email.
Here's
or
what
give
I'm
me a
going to do.
call.
I'm going to pledge right here on the air. I'm going to give you an hour, at least,
On
At
that
least.
Saturday?
a week from Saturday.
I'll-
Okay.
I'll match it.
So you'll see if you get there at the right time, you'll see both me and Pat there.
What time is the pizza?
What time?
Ah,
No,
Keep
we'll
that.
be-
We
we'll
keep
be
that
there.
hidden, but there is always chocolate in my office. That's what I use.
I heard that about you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm restocking it tomorrow morning. So
I'll match that hour also, at least, and also I'm going to see if I can bring a couple other volunteers. Also.
very good.
Even better.
I
I think
appreciate
I think it's
that.
great. I think it's great that you're going to get people trained how to do this, get people confidence in getting their points across and getting the communicating the candidates' points of views. And I think that's just exactly what we've needed to
Yeah.
really start something up again.
Yeah.
You know what it is?
So
It's
thank you
it's
for
the
your assistance
feeling
again.
that's involved, that you create, a feeling that you're doing something that's worthwhile, and you can't help but want to do more and more and more. You know, I'm sure there are restraints, and each of us have our certain days that we can't do anything or whatnot, but there's a feeling that goes along with it. You feel like you're on the winning side when you do this kind of thing, you know, when you get involved. And I hope the public out there, that the people that are watching, I hope they consider that.
You feel like
And-
you're at least doing your part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Good stuff.
Everybody
Very-
gets one vote. Everybody gets one vote.
Yep.
But when you decide to take your time and put it into something, and you try and turn a couple more votes, you don't just get one vote, but you get to influence how other people vote and other people think and how other people determine whether they're going to get involved or not. And that's a lot of fun.
It is. It is. You're in the middle of a big project.
Yes, it's a very big project, but it's the little things. It's the one voter you talk to who was kind of on the fence, and you explain to them, why it's worth it to consider Charlie or what makes Richard so great, and they go, you know what? Yeah, that makes sense to me. I'd support him, and you did that. You flipped a vote. You convinced someone, and because of that, maybe that person will go to their friends. I heard about this Charlie Baker guy. He's not so bad. Or this Richard Tassay, he seems like he makes a lot of sense. And so you just get the wheels turning, and next thing you know.
Amen. Well, we got to let Katie get back to work because there's a long way to go between now and November 4th. And regardless, I know she's always busy because I talk to her during the week. And even if she doesn't have work to do tonight, we got to give her some time to rest. So thank you for joining us tonight, Katie. And we hope to have you back possibly before November 4th. But
I will definitely come back.
And we hope to see you on a week from Saturday.
June 28th.
We'll be there.
See you then.
We'll be there. Don't know exactly which hours,
and
but
if you
we'll be
can
there.
make it up there at any point, Katie will graciously accept your help. And please tell them that Burlington and Beyond sent you.
Tell us exactly where you're located.
It's at 630 Boston Road, which is across the street from Greg's Farm and Augusta's Deli, which has really good chicken. So you should come volunteer and then go get chicken, with your significant other. And it's a fantastic date idea. I don't know.
Now, I know you grew up in New Jersey, but for people from Burlington, here's how you explain it.
Okay.
Go past Market Basket in Bill Ricker, and it's on your right.
Okay.
Just
fine.
past Market
Basket.
Market Basket.
Market Basket.
Exactly.
There you
At
go.
Webbrook Road.
At Webbrook Road. That's right. It's this big brick building, and you pull in, you park in the parking lot, and it's down a flight of stairs right on the left. You will see so much red, white, and blue in that office. You will not be able to miss it.
Well, thank you again for joining us. It's been great having you on.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay.
So we've got so much to talk about this evening. We did want to talk in greater detail about the election and what's going to be happening. Obviously, the Democrats had their convention this weekend, and it was an interesting outcome. I guess there wasn't a huge level of surprise to it. Although Martha Coakley is consistently polled ahead of the other candidates, Martha Coakley, in fact, did not get the Democrat Party's nomination at the convention. It was Steve Grossman, who is our current state treasurer.
I think Steve is, I have the feeling, I don't know him personally, obviously, I don't know that much about him, but I have the feeling that he really worked hard to make the convention come out the way he wanted to. I don't think Coakley spent that much time on it, but she did pull the 15%, and she is on the ballot. And I don't know, in retrospect, where she lost to Senator Brown, losing, or even the appearance of losing something, could, I think, maybe affect her. Steve Grossman, I understand, is really a gung-ho kind of person. He really wants to get out there, and so we've got our work cut out for us. But we have some terrific candidates, so I'm not too worried.
Do you have any opinions on how the Democrat convention
I'm
turned out?
surprised that there's still 3 candidates that'll be in the primary. I thought it'd be just 1 or 2, or maybe Martha would take it all. So I'm kind of surprised, very surprised that there's still three candidates standing that got 15%. So that means the Democrats are very split this year. We've heard that before.
Yes, that's exactly the feeling I had. Yeah.
I think that's really the subtext to come out of it, that there is a third candidate, and his name is Donald Berwick. He was a member in the Obama administration. I'm not sure what.
Something to do with Obamacare.
Yes, it's something within Health and Human Services, I believe. Mm-hmm. But it is interesting that, he ended up, as far as delegates goes, his delegate count was only a single percentage point lower than Martha Coakley. Yes. So, I mean, for someone to really come from behind and come out of nowhere like that, that's quite the surprise. Now, I think in the end, if I was to predict, I still think Martha Coakley is the favorite. But Martha Coakley does come out of this convention somewhat damaged, based on the fact that she does have a reputation for blowing a lead. I do think that Steve Grossman, on the other hand, he is the consummate insider's insider. He was the head of was it the National Democrat Party, or is it just the state party at one point? Does anyone?
I think it was the state. I don't think it was national.
Regardless, a lot of candidates, a lot of
leadership.
delegates, a lot of people that are very politically tied in.
Yep.
Where he was the head of the party at one point, he was in charge of a lot of fundraising. A lot of people owed him favors.
Yes.
And I think that's how, in the end, he was able to come out with the right amount of votes to really make. I mean, what was it? 35% that he was it? I believe it was 35%.
It was in that area. I don't remember if it was 35 or 34, 30. It was
significant.
significant. Yes.
Came out with. However, I think in the primary, when the voters go out to vote, I think Coakley will, in the end, pull it out. And the reasoning.
The question is, how much of an attraction is Berwick? How much is he going to take away? And as you indicated, it's good that they're split. It's good that there's some infighting in the Democratic Party. That can only be helpful to our people. I guess every party suffers a little bit of that somewhere along the way. There's always a third candidate. It seems to me that every election that I can recall, there was always a third candidate who was going to take from. Last time we had, who was it that considered to take votes away from Charlie? Not this election.
Tim Cahill.
Tim Cahill, right?
Who ran as an independent back in 2010.
Right. So it's always an issue, and I'm glad that it's an issue for the Democrats.
Yeah, and actually, I wish the Republicans had three candidates. You know, one just starting out in politics, and well, I guess we still have that. We have one that's brand new to Republican Party politics, and one that's been there for a little while. And I like it because now we're going to have all these state issues, be the gas tax, the high-tech tax. We'll have a good discussion this summer about good governance, about a wide variety of issues. I'm glad that we don't have just one Democratic candidate where they can pick and choose what they want to say versus the Republican candidate. I'm glad that all these issues are going to be on the table. We're going to hear from everybody. The more any of these issues get discussed, I think that's going to just be that much better for the Republican candidate.
I agree.
Well, I read an interesting article in the Boston Herald today, which Donald Berwick has been trying to position himself as the progressive candidate in the Democrat field. Whereas he's trying to run to the left of Steve Grossman, but Steve Grossman's saying, well, I'm a progressive also. Now, progressive, mind you, is code word for liberal,
yes.
which liberal is like a slur word. If you call an extremist...
You shouldn't use that word here.
An extremist Democrat a liberal, that's calling a name. So they've decided to recode liberal as progressive. And that's a badge of honor.
Yeah.
So,
sounds a little more sophisticated.
It sounds a little more sophisticated, but now that they're getting into the match of who is more progressive, that forces them to be drawn out a little bit on the issues, which I believe many of those issues will be outside the mainstream of the general electorate, the undecided voter, which in fact, as much as Massachusetts is a blue state, the greatest proportion of voters are in fact undecideds.
Undecided, yes. And that's the group that we, on the telephone, should try to reach. We need them. We need all of them.
We need conservative Democrats also.
But the thing is that, and even having spoken with Katie, I feel comfortable with the whole slate that we have, that the Republicans have. I think they're all good candidates, and I'm especially proud of the fact that one of our own members is a candidate, Paul Gerard. He's terrific young man, as honest as you can imagine, as straightforward, and he understands the issues, and he's working hard. And
he's working so hard he couldn't make it tonight.
He couldn't make it tonight. No, because he's out campaigning, but that's fine. And
he's got work to do.
He's depending on us to campaign for him. We're going to be right there because the guy is really a terrific individual. And we'll be out there trying to help him out as much as possible. For those of you who don't know Paul, watch one of our programs. If you have a friend who doesn't know Paul, watch, because Paul will be on through the summer. We're anticipating that we're going to be pretty much through the summer, and Paul will be here with us, and I'm sure that he will be able to elucidate some of the issues, or maybe some questions you might have that you want to call in when he is here. I think it's good. I think we're off to a good start, and as Katie indicated, we're off to an early start, which is even better, And so, like you said, we don't want to wait until October or even September to find out that there's a lot of work to do. Let's do the work now.
And it seems like our efforts, or the state party's efforts, are already starting to bear fruit. Now,
Yes.
the Suffolk University and Boston Herald issued a poll last week that said in a head-to-head matchup, Charlie Baker would in fact beat, if he were the Republican candidate, which it looks highly likely that he will be the nominee. He does have a primary challenge from a gentleman by the name of Mark Fisher, but it looks highly likely that Charlie Baker will be the nominee. He would in fact beat Steve Grossman.
Oh,
Very
good.
He would lose to Martha Coakley by 7 points. Mind you, we still have months till the election. 7 points was what Martha Coakley trailed Scott Brown by a week before the election a couple of years back. So we all know how good she is at blowing a lead. And we'll see what could happen there. But the dynamics of this race are just heating up, and I think Mass GOP is doing their due diligence by situating an office in Billerica and situating offices around the state, and really speaking to people that in the past they just
coordinating it, bringing it all together, so that we're one particular force going forward. Yeah. Is this, you said it was a Suffolk poll?
Suffolk University poll done in conjunction with the Boston Herald.
That's good.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. There's a lot going on here in Massachusetts, and and we're going to segue into some other issues, but I mean, we could talk all night about this, but we won't.
And
we've got months to talk about.
We're going to be, well, not only that, I mean, we're going to be tackling all of these issues and the candidates as we proceed through the summer. For those of you who don't know, we will be broadcasting for most of the summer. We haven't established the dates yet, but we, every other week in general. So please watch and stay with us so that we know exactly what's going on, and we try to help you out on who to vote for. What else have you got on the agenda here today?
Well, there's a lot going on in the country, internationally. So I guess we'll segue from Massachusetts to other parts of the country, and let's go down to the southern border.
Oh,
there is just
immigration
absolute madness going on down there, and a lot of people sit around and say you hear that the GOP is anti-immigrant. I'm sorry, I'm not anti-immigrant, but what is going on down on the southern border is just absolutely insane. Now, since the start of the new year, it has been estimated that there have been 50,000 illegal border crossings, which the number has spiked since this time last year. Actually, when we were at the 2008 through 2010, the immigration into the country illegal immigration had actually stalled because the economy was performing so poorly that people didn't want to come here anymore. People could find opportunity in their own country. And
why all of a sudden all these kids?
Why do you think?
I suppose that they're coming from difficult times and situations, and their parents or whoever their guardians are dropping them off or helping them find their way to the border in hopes of we, Americans, will take care of them. I also heard this morning, as a matter of fact, on one of the broadcasts that they had an individual, they were interviewing someone who seemed to know what they were talking about with regard to these kids, and they said that you heard about the ones that came to, or there was an assertion that there was a plane full that came to Hanscom Air Force Base.
Several planes.
And I have a friend who works at Hanscom, and I sent him an email and asked. But this morning, I heard that they were so congested These were not the kids who just arrived at the border. These are the ones who were already inside the border, and they were trying to get rid of some of them. So yes, a plane did come to Hanscom with a bunch of kids on it. Now, what do we know about them? Do they have records? Are there any criminals? I mean, they're young kids, I know. I don't know what the age group is. I'm assuming they're somewhere around between maybe 10 and 15, somewhere in that area. But that doesn't mean that they can't have been convicted of something. I mean, I think that the community that these kids go to should be notified that there are going to be an extra 20, 30, 40, 50 kids in there that are going to be let loose in their community.
Well, I actually, coming into tonight's broadcast, I did extensive research on this today, and as I've been reading up on it throughout the last few weeks. Now, what's happening is I believe these people are coming here. I believe these people are coming here with sincere intentions. They want to come here for a better life.
Oh,
However, it is incumbent upon our border security to protect our borders.
Yes.
And we need to know who's coming in, what their backgrounds are. As Richard Tassay had alluded when he was here about a month and a half ago, I really feel that our immigration system is broken, but we're focusing in all the wrong places. It's not just the border. We need to be conscious of who's coming in legally with visas, flying in from Europe or the Middle East, for example, and overstaying their visas. Let's not forget how many of the 9/11 hijackers
made it.
Were here on overstayed visas.
Yeah.
So this isn't about white versus Hispanic. This is really, and when people try and take it there, that's being, in my opinion, purely political.
Yeah.
This is about protecting our borders.
Yes.
Now again, I think a lot of these people are coming over for the right reasons. They want to make a better life for themselves.
Yeah, but Adam, another issue, or the underlying issue, is that can we afford this? Yes, the borders have to be protected, but can we afford any of this? We are, this is the thing that bothers me more than anything. We are enormously in debt. I heard the comment again. I hear it almost every morning, in that we are the most indebted nation in the history of the world. So,
yes,
when you I want to help, and I think we should try to help, but when it begins to cost significant amounts of money, I think another question has to be asked. Larry, what you were gonna?
Well, I would start at a little bit of a higher level, how all this would happen. Hundreds of buses just don't show up automatically. They just don't show up. It had to be coordinated, where I've even heard that the Border Patrol was told to stand down, let these buses through. So this is something that's bigger than just people wanting to come here. Somebody has planned for these people to come here, and kids too. There's parents letting go of their children. I say children, but look at the age of the kids. They range anywhere from 11 to in their early 20s.
Well,
I kind of think, if I could just continue that, I'll let you go there. I'll let you get to all your notes here. But we were told we were going to get immigration reform. And I think this is in response to it looking like Congress was not going to get to that on a legal agenda, on a congressional agenda. So we're still getting the reform. These people are coming in. They're bussed here. The Border Patrol's saying, come on in. And what you have to compare it against is what we're doing for our veterans. And we're giving these people much better treatment than we are our own veterans. And that's, again, a matter of cost. We want to meet everybody's needs in the world, if we could, but we got to do what's feasible. And we first owe it to the people who are already here in this country to take care of them, and particularly people who have
Are you suggesting that this is happening with agreement at a higher level?
It has to be.
Door.
It could not happen.
Reform. Now, the New York Times reported today that they speculated that the reason for this influx, mind you, about a year ago, the average per month, a city called, our county, Hidalgo County Precinct 3, had 50 immigrants per week coming
Wow.
across the border.
Well,
Last Tuesday, they had 100. So they had more in one night, double in one night what they have in a week usually. And the day before, the previous Monday, they had 200. So they had quadruple. Now, the New York Times speculates that it's due to a perceived change in immigration policy that would favor child immigrants. Now, the Obama administration...
there's the connection I was looking
The Obama
for.
administration claims there has been no change in policy. However, as I alluded to before, I believe that the motivations behind immigration are purely political. Back in 2012, when Obama was running for re-election, wasn't there something about the DREAM Act and providing amnesty
Yes.
for... so I don't understand. Clearly, it's not a perceived change. It's an ipso facto backdoor change in policy that's taken place. And if the Obama administration is denying it, I guess they're lying. It wouldn't be the first time, in my opinion, that they've told us a lie or two. But I don't understand how they can say nothing to see here. There's been no change. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
In 2012, you came out with a grand policy that was a re-election ploy, in my opinion, that seemed to work, as
Yeah.
he did carry the lion's share of Hispanic voters.
It is deny, sadly, on so many issues. Yes, I heard pretty much the same thing. And I guess I wanted, when Larry alluded to something behind the scenes going on at a higher level, I suspect that it is the government that, but specifically, these kids are looking, I don't know, I mean, how do you all of a sudden bring 100 kids just to, you mentioned Hidalgo County,
Yes.
Crossing the border. How do you, who brings the 100 kids there and says, stand here, get ready,
I'll
they're
tell
going
you
to let
who
you go?
does.
Who?
There are exploitative parties that they're referred to as coyotes. What they do is their job is they're not actual animal coyotes like you hear howling in your backyard in Burlington. They're
But they're coyotes nonetheless.
they're a group of
Organizers.
organized crime, essentially,
Yeah.
that take truckloads and smuggle children across the border. Now, I think that opens up, as much as it sounds like Obama's a nice guy welcoming these children here with open arms, to me, I think that opens the door to exploitation of minors.
Yes.
You don't hear that story too often.
Yeah.
Now, once they get here, once
And
they're able to get over the border agents, you are correct, both of you gentlemen are correct in that they've been told to stand down. What they do, and I did research on this also, it was reported in the Los Angeles Times, that once they are processed, they're allowed, what they do is they take them they've opened up a couple of, Border Enforcement has opened up a couple of military bases down on the border that they've opened up. They're now at capacity. They're brimming with capacity because they can't even handle this. After 72 hours, the Border Patrol attempts to process them. They have been having trouble meeting that 72-hour benchmark. From there, they try and identify if they have families living in the United States and situate them with their families. This is a quote. After releasing them from the stations, what they've been doing is they've been flying families. This is a quote from Los Angeles Times from today. They've been flying many families to other states and releasing them en masse at bus stations with notices to appear in immigration courts at their destination. So that
answers the
So essentially,
cargo that landed at Hanscom. We picked up one of them.
the next thing that happened is that they were at a Greyhound station, most likely out
Yeah.
in Woburn, or maybe they took them into Boston and they gave them a couple of subpoenas to appear in court. Whether they appear in court, how is that going to be enforced?
No, I know. Not only that, but where do these kids go if they don't have a family or connections? What do? They melt in? I mean, do they hope that someone is going to all of a sudden appear to take them in?
That's the other side of it. I think we have to wait to find out what the full plan is, but we know that this is really against the law. This should not be happening.
Yes.
You should not be telling the Border Patrol not to enforce the law. To me, that's treasonous, if I could say that. But the other side of it, who knows? These kids coming over may all be entrepreneurs. They may become Republicans.
They are entrepreneurs. They're coming here for a better life.
That's true, and as long as the government doesn't put them on welfare and free education and health care, well, okay, that's going to happen. That we don't give our
Yeah, but they've got to register.
veterans.
They've got to register to vote. I mean,
So-
it's a long way to go.
So still, there's a lot more story to be told with it. But initially, I think there's something that doesn't smell too good as far as policy, not being legal, and pushing what's illegal and what shouldn't be done, what's not in the best interest of the country. Our ability to handle it was never measured. It's already stretched thin.
It's a sad issue, it really is. And as you indicated, something doesn't smell right. What else doesn't smell right, by the way, with regard to what's going on at the national level? Anything in particular that you have in mind?
Actually, oh, go ahead.
No, I was.
Are we segueing to another topic?
Before we do, let's just
Go ahead.
also
Let's do a
say
final
we're
thought.
not anti-immigration, anti-immigrants. We want the best for them. We would like them to help them become entrepreneurs as much as we can and contribute to the society.
But
But we don't right now have the infrastructure to help them. But I wish we can do everything we can to help them in their current situation.
We're in favor of the rule of law. Right now, what we have is absolute chaos. We're opening the door to the exploitation of minors. I really believe that this is an ipso facto campaign strategy for the national Democrats long term.
I agree.
As they believe that, coming off as the good guys on this issue, that they're
Yep.
going to build a permanent Democrat majority by bringing a growing demographic of Hispanics into the fold. What I think gets lost here, and Richard Tassay alluded to this when he was in about a month and a half ago. What gets lost here is that there are so many students that are coming out of colleges that are here from India, China, maybe South America too. This has turned into a United States versus Mexico, Guatemala, and Honduras issue. This is a much bigger issue than that. There are students that are here that want to stay here, that have advanced degrees, that could start businesses, that could contribute to technology companies. At the same time, you're hearing companies complain, saying we can't find qualified candidates to fill positions. There's a skills gap. And we're allowing these students to come over from China, India, and leave here and go back to their country of origin and help those countries compete against us.
Yes.
When they could be coming here, and they would prefer to stay here, and they would prefer to work for an American company and make more money in this country and improve the standard of living in our country. Why are we allowing them to get back in an airplane and go somewhere else?
We especially suffer that here in Massachusetts because the number of colleges, the number of kids that graduate, and the number of kids that do leave, as you say, and go back to their own country. There's an awful lot of work to be done. And the work is not being done at the national level. It is not being effective. There's so much more that they could do. And I guess the single most important thing is that they have to begin to organize and look at entrepreneurship, giving people the responsibility to be on their own and to do the best they can. It seems as though the government in so many ways is trying to buy these kids, trying to get them in their, get them in a situation where they're totally dependent upon the government. I see that in almost every single field. They want the government, and you can see that because the government just continues to grow. The bureaucracy is just absolutely ridiculous. And what they're saying, and the other thing that bothers me so much, besides the money, is that bureaucracies make their own rules and regulations, so that now all of a sudden you have not only a set of laws, but then you have these particular regulations from each of the bureaucracies. And we've seen that in fuel, in Obamacare, in so many different ways. The government is too damn big, and there's no good reason for it to be that big. And this is just one aspect of it, handling
Except that's their
immigration.
objective, to be that big, to grow. That's how they measure their success,
Yes.
by how many people they've made dependent on them.
Yeah.
And beyond that, how much they can, how many regulations they can pass, how much
Yeah.
new regulation can they impose.
When
That's how progressive measure their own
Yes.
success,
That is their
That's why I'm
formula.
looking forward to the summer if I come back to the governor's race. We're going to have 3 candidates trying to out-progressive each other, and the others are going to be more moderate, more conservative, how best to deal with these situations, what's the best way out. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I think by the end, if they're all trying to show that one is more progressive than the other, you're going to end up with the most progressive, the one that's furthest out there, furthest away from the common Massachusetts voter who's beginning to care more and more about these failed states and failed programs. Failing.
The other thing is, I just happen to think about Mr. Romney and his 47%. How true it was. And I wish he never had backed away from that. He should have pursued it. It was right, what he said. I lost my train of thought, but yes, exactly. But I was going to say that here in Massachusetts, the one party, the progressives, have dominated, and we've gotten so many problems at the state level. And the government, even at the state level, has grown significantly. So we mirror what is happening at the federal level. And I've always thought that the best arrangement is when you have 2 parties, one looking at the other to see what the other party is doing. When you have one
Acts as a
party,
watchdog.
yeah, when you have one party that rules everything. Well, look at what's happening in probation. Look at what's happening in child care. Even health care, they're having problems. There are so many aspects. And of course, our dear governor is very nicely moving on. He's bailing out at this point. All of these problems, and there are a lot more that are, they just so many things. You've seen the probation issue. You follow the probation issue and the patronage problem. That's a serious problem in my estimation. It really is. But that's an indication of what happens when you have one party, a progressive party, that grows the government and controls everything. And I can't imagine people continuing to vote for them. I just cannot understand.
It's the mystique in this state, and I see that going the way of the dinosaurs.
Where did this start?
I think it started with Tip O'Neill and the Kennedys, but something. If you think about who we have in office now in this state, so look at the difference between whether you agree with them or disagree with them. Look at Ted Kennedy and John Kerry, 2 pillars of the Democrat establishment. They carried a lot of weight with them. And now we have Elizabeth Warren, who serves a constituency of people who are a little bit out there.
Our senior senator.
And Ed Markey, who's just a complete lightweight. Where has he been since I think the first time we saw him back here in the state was
Don't forget John Tierney.
Well, I mean, John Tierney, he hasn't
He's
not
been,
been
he's
John
been in
Tierney.
office for 16 years.
He's been in office for 16 years, and even when the Democrats were in the majority party in the House, he did not hold a committee chairmanship. Even Barney Frank, who I don't agree with, held the committee chairmanship, and now he's gone. And now the House Democrats, if you look down, they're in the political wilderness. We have people like Nikki Songus out of Lowell. We've got Joe Kennedy III, which was in the district that encompasses Brookline. We've got Bill Keating down the Cape. We've got a lot of these Democrat congressional reps that have come of age during a time when the Democrats in the House have been in the political wilderness.
Yeah.
The Democrat Party in Massachusetts does not have the same mainstays that they had a couple of years ago. I think over time, that
they're melting.
They're melting. It's not going to happen tomorrow.
No, but that's all the more reason why, thanks to Katie and Mass Victory as a part of the whole program, as we've indicated, that we have these great candidates, Richard Tisey and Charlie Baker, Karen Polito. They're terrific people, and they're capable, and our own Paul Gerard. They're terrific people, they're capable people, and I have every bit of expectation, and I feel very confident. I think for the first time in a long time,
And
the first time in your adult life?
I am no. I never really, I was one of those dummies that never paid attention to politics.
I wouldn't say that, but
Well, I mean, I voted, and I always had a conservative bent to me, but I began to realize more and more as of late, within the past 3, 4, 5 years, that the way of the progressives simply does not work. All it does is make you a vassal of the government, makes you a slave of the government. And I can't imagine anyone not being able to see that, as opposed to being on your own, as opposed to doing the very best that you can. That's what a government should do. And this darn government is much too big. State government and federal government is much, much too big. So anyway, we've got to elect these people. We've got to get out there and do everything that's necessary.
I think the time is right, the atmosphere is right. People realizing these bigger programs are not working, they're not working well. Time for a clean house. Time for some new policies that encourages people. Otherwise, we're just going to fall on the weight of the government. It's just going to be too big for anybody to carry. And it's just going to disappoint more and more people, which will just make more and more Republicans. But for now, I do like that. It sounds like, yes, they are melting. Maybe not tomorrow, but by November, I think all these issues are going to be coming out.
Yeah. Don't you feel as there's a little bit of a, I've heard the expression, and we've got a little bit of a wind at our back, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Conservatives have a little bit of a wind at their back, and they were always fighting uphill. Now there's a little, even if it's a little gentle breeze, it's going to help, because there is the realization that individual energy, individual entrepreneurship is the thing that made this country. And I can't imagine, especially now, especially today, it's so very important.
I'm not 100% convinced that we've reached a point where people are convinced of rugged self-reliance. I'm not sure if we've reached that point yet, but I think we've reached the point where people are sitting back and saying, after the last 6 years we've had, that the direction we're on clearly isn't working. And we can't just let's segue. I mean, I know we had planned to talk about this longer, so we'll go through it very quickly. But we're watching what's going on in Iraq, for example.
Yeah.
And I'd like to. I mean,
imagine the money that we spent.
We spent a lot of money, and you know what? George Bush didn't do such a great job there either. To be fair, I think that's just my opinion. But Obama hasn't helped the situation, and the precipitous pullout, the fast pullout, that again, 100% political in the interest of the re-election back in 2012. That was something from to campaign on. I got us out of Iraq. Al Qaeda's on the run. Spare me. Al Qaeda is on the brink. Al Qaeda's on the run into Baghdad, and they're about to take the country over right now. So, I mean, there have been a lot of missteps, and everything to do.
How about the Guantanamo issue, the Bergdahl affair? I think that was a disgrace. It really was
a complete embarrassment.
Yes, it is.
Think of the optics that did Obama really think having that press conference in the Rose Garden with that father with the with the long beard over his shoulder, and it comes to light that the father was communicating with the Taliban. He learned to speak their language and had converted. Actually, I'm not sure if he had converted religions. That's still.
He was close enough, but.
And I'm not saying that people of that religion necessarily, but I mean, it just seemed like he was. The idea that the son had defected, and that's still, that investigation is still being conducted, but there's just a lot of question marks there, and I just don't understand how the president could be so tone deaf to the poor optics of that whole situation.
And it's where no American can be happy as what's been happening over the last couple of weeks in Iraq and with the prisoner exchange.
I mean,
no American can be happy about this.
He thought that was going to be PR victory. What planet is he living on?
I don't know. To let 5 of those in. Wait till the day comes when we find out that one of those people, one of those 5 Taliban leaders, has planned something, whether it's a roadside bomb or whether it's something more significant, and we find out that it was one of the people that he let go.
Wow.
Then you're going to hear the stories.
Well, according to Hillary Clinton, and this is we'll wrap up on this note. According to Hillary Clinton, those 5 Taliban operatives will not be a threat. This is coming from the same woman who, we're going to end this on a light note. Hillary Clinton's book tour.
I got to share this with you.
Keeps on giving.
I got this out. Hillary Clinton says the family was flat broke upon leaving the White House. Flat broke. She's at the counter, and she says, "We have a coupon for 2-ply paper towels, ma'am." She was flat broke when they left the White House.
They could barely afford their 2 houses. Well, take that into account as you pay your mortgage bill this month. We've got to run. It's been a great show. Thank you for joining us.
Up already? Wow.
On behalf of myself and the cast and crew, thank you for joining us. Have a great night.